there's nothing in our tradition that is more radically different from what our framers imagined than the current presidency of the United States. The presidency of the United States, as it is right now, is exactly the King George which the framers were trying to destroy. And the monarchy in Britain, as it is right now, is exactly what the framers thought the president would be. Kind of this irrelevant, sort of above it all, sort of leader who's there to step in and do something great if it's necessary, but not, this kind of person who believes that he can call up troops without any authorization from Congress and do whatever he wants because he's the president of the United States. Now, the problem here is a deeply political problem. It's not a corruption problem. It's a political problem because the Congress is such a, in my view, bankrupt institution. It has no courage to stand up to the president and say to the president, we want to defend Congress's power versus yours. They don't want to do that because politically it would be suicide, right? Because the fact is, most people would say, wait, Congress versus the president? I mean, even if we don't like this president, we love the president relative to Congress. Congress is an abysmal institution, right? So we have no political support for the Constitution as it was intended to be. Many people on the left, and I'm certainly on the left, look at this administration and they sort of imagine a bunch of evil people inside the administration. And there certainly are evil people inside this administration. But it makes the story too easy, makes the problem too simple to think that you've just got a bunch of evil people who are trying to grab power and that's why it's... The real difficult problem is you've actually got an administration filled with people who are terrified about a threat. During the worst time of what Yu was doing, that administration really did think that 9/11 was just the first in a series of attacks, and there was going to be attack after attack, and they had to stop it. So they genuinely were afraid. And they were people who were trying to do what they thought was in the interest of the country. What they did, though, was they gave up on a principle that, 10 years ago I would have thought was so fundamental, which is the idea that even though you're trying to do what we all agree is the right thing to do, there are limits about what is right and what is wrong, and you don't cross those lines. You just don't cross those lines. You don't turn us into a nation that tortures, even if you think it's going to save 3,000 people. You don't turn us into a nation that tortures. That idea is also an idea that has no political support today. America is raised on 24. America loves Jack Bauer. America, he is the hero, right? Even though he is a person who tortures at the drop of a hat, right? And that, again, is a political problem. It's going to take work from those of us who have values contrary to that to convince the American public of what we think is right again. That's not an easy task.